So what the heck am I making now? Well, the pole barn, the speed shop, I've got floor drains in it, and there's one hiding under that block, and you see I have a temporary drain going out. There's one right there under the block, and then there's one right here that's still covered up with tape. And the reason they're covered up with tape is because they're not functional yet. I need to hook them up. But they're floor drains for a shop, which means they're not going into my septic system. I don't want that going into the septic because there might be grease or oil. So how do we handle that? Well, I've got some other photos, but that is my oil trap. It's inside that cardboard, or inside that plywood box, is a commercial oil trap. It's designed specifically for trapping oils, greases, contaminants in water. And you'll see it's just taped on, and the reason it's taped on, the top is, it's fully insulated inside that box. And then to clean it, I'll have to dig it up a little bit, pull it off, pull the goop out, and throw that away. But it's fairly shallow. That's an air vent there. And then you'll see the lines there. This box is heated, and I'll have photos and a more description of the construction of this later. But the water goes in here out of the drains on the floor, goes through this trap where chemicals, solvents, grease, oil, everything is trapped in here. What comes out of there is gray water, meaning it's not clean water, it's not filthy water, it's not contaminated water, it's not water I'd want to drink, but it's water that's okay to release into the environment. So it's going to come here, there's going to be a 90-degree turn there, and it's going to come over here into this big pit. Now, a lot of people will run a drain with gravel and stuff and let the water slowly seep in. What I'm doing is I'm building a thing called a Drywell. They've been around for hundreds of years. They just haven't used modern technology. And basically what a Drywell is, it's constructed of a plastic water barrel with a bunch of holes in it. I'll drill all the holes out, sides and the bottom, and this barrel will sit in that well, bottom side down, and it will have some gravel in it, and it will have loosely packed gravel all around it. And what that does is it allows the water that's in the barn, after it's treated, to go through there and seep into the ground slowly. So, yeah, that's what we got. So I purchased a commercial oil and grease interceptor, and this is what I used. And I needed to make sure that it was going to be heated. So you see here's the box that I built with the insulation. You can see heating wires in there. That's exactly the same kind of heating mat that you would install, say, under a tile floor in a bathroom to have a heated floor. And so here's some photos of the actual oil and grease trap being installed and kind of the way I set it up. And you see it's stuffed tight in there, that heavy-duty insulation with the foil on it. And this is as I'm getting ready to plumb it in and get the cover put on. So it's kind of there. I've got a thermal sensor inside next to the wiring there, next to that heat right there. And this is me being curious and enjoying screwing stuff in. There you go. And so, yeah, this is kind of how it looked. And then I went ahead and put some of that foam insulation on the top and then covered it up with more plywood, taped it on. That's what you see at the beginning of this video. And here's the barrel with me starting to drill the gazillion holes in the side of the barrel. You didn't think I was going to be so anticlimactic and ended it that way. So how do you build it? Well, it's really easy. You drill a bunch of holes in it. You saw that plastic flicking. That's why I got safety glasses on. Always wear protection. Anyway, that will go in there later today. I'll get everything buried. I'll be able to uncap these, fill the system with water, and then the heating elements that I referred to earlier, and I'll show you how I put them in some photos later on in this video. Those heating elements will stop that from freezing during the winter because, you know, pumping liquids or dumping liquids out in the middle of winter into a frozen container is useless. So that'll handle the thaw. Anyway, that's kind of the end for this segment. Thanks for watching. So once I got all the holes drilled, I needed to ensure that dirt and sand couldn't go back into the barrel. So I used some of this spray adhesive and I just coated the barrel really, really well. And then I just took some of this ground mat and I wrapped the barrel up. So now liquids can pass through that mat without a problem, but dirt won't go back in and fill the barrel. There's the barrel in the hole. And then it's basically just a matter of plumbing it in, hooking it up, and getting it buried. So here you can see the plumbing coming out of the oil and grease trap along with a vent line. Made that 90-degree turn and just went right down into the barrel. I left those two holes open in and put some gravel inside it to kind of settle it down, and then closed them up and plumbed it in. So yeah, okay, there you go. You can see the gravel holes, yay. Closed it up, got it all the plumbing in, and then once the system was connected, I tested it. I ran water through it at full blast from the full 1.5-inch main, and I ran it for like 45 minutes and it just drained perfectly, not a problem. So then it was just simply a matter of covering it up with gravel, not dirt, gravel. So you see I filled this in with a bunch of gravel. This was ended up being like 3 or 4 cubic yards of gravel to fill it entirely. And then I top it off after the gravel's all in place, that I compact it down and I top it off with dirt. And the reason I do gravel is so that the water can flow out nice and neat. And then I realized that I had screwed up, and I put the thermostat, the sensor, in the wrong place, so that I had to dig it all up again, and then I had to take a sensor. I've coated it here with caulk and stuck a rock on it, and then I set it into the liquid so it's hanging in the liquid, because the sensor needs to report the temperature of the liquid and not the heating element. So I had to, like I said, I had to dig it all out and then put it all back together. And this is, put the insulation back on top. And then I decided, rather than just taping that top on, I had some of this excess plastic left over. So I screwed the plastic into the top, put some siding boards on it, gave it a little bit of paint to stop any excess moisture from getting in it. This protects the top of the wood from getting any liquid on it and ruining that wood, even though it's pressure treated. Always try and protect it. And then I covered it back up with gravel, and that's the end.